Hey guys, Thomas Jr. here, aka Mustached, and I'm here to review the movie Army of the Dead. If you end up enjoying this review, then please consider joining my Patreon page. There'll be the second link in the description below. Any donations are desperately needed. Anyway, shilling aside, let's get on to the review of Army of the Dead. So, this movie was made by Zack, the person who's responsible for pretty much making terrible superhero movies in the variety of DC and the variety of Superman and Batman and their battles and whatnot, and yeah. So, my expectations for this movie were pretty low. On top of that, I thought that this title, Army of the Dead, I thought that that was a video game, so I looked it up, I googled that, and I didn't find anything, so I'm guessing it's not actually. It's just something that's close to sounding like a video game. So again, my expectations were still pretty low. After all, again, this is the person who, again, made a terrible Batman vs. Superman, made a terrible, follow-up, did the Justice League thing, and that was really bad. So yeah, my expectations weren't high. And for all intents and purposes, this movie is actually fine. At least from what I can tell from a first viewing anyway. I'm sure there's a few issues, and I'll point them out as I go through the recap portion of this review. Anywho, let's get into that recap. So, we start by showing two sets of vehicles traveling. First is a just married couple who are getting ready to have some fun, let's say. And we also get a convoy of military people who are traveling with this huge box. So, as the couple are getting ready to get busy in the car, the military guys are wondering what's in the box. What's in the surprise box? They actually have no clue. After the slight swerving of the car of the married couple due to the sex, they collide with the military group, and the box ends up crashing off of the vehicle that it was on. After the soldiers check it out, a zombie rushes out and starts to attack. And two of the men manage to escape, but only very briefly, only to have the zombie take them down anyway. We cut to a montage of several zombies now attacking Vegas. This area is shown to have be the sort of starting point, ground zero, if you will. Anyway, the montage shows people are fighting back. And within that group, we see Dave Bautista, our main protagonist anyway, play a guy named Scott. I should say during the montage, by the way, before I move on, because I didn't, specify what's in the montage. One of the things that it clearly shows, other than people fighting back along with Dave Bautista and some of his group, is that they cut off Vegas from the rest of anything. So the zombies were all there, essentially. So this isn't a worldwide zombie apocalypse movie yet. That's one thing to distinguish about this movie. So the rest of the world seems to pretty much act as normal. Anyway, with that out of the way, we see that Scott is introduced to this man named Takana. Who's this really rich man? And he says his money is this untraceable money, and it's deep within Vegas in this bank. So, he's a little, put off by this, at least at first, but after thinking it over, uh, he eventually starts to think more and more about getting in on this. Meanwhile, we cut to a young woman named Kate and another woman named Lita, I believe her name was, or something along those lines. That's what I heard, so that's what I wrote. It could be something different, though. So we hear that she wants money, so there's that. And there's this clearing guy police officer type who ends up being this sort of asshole-ish character to both of the ladies. It's also exposed to the audience that these two ladies did some sort of crime, question mark? I think. Anyway. So we cut back to Scott in a flashback, and him suffering over having to take down his wife. And we also see that he had some sort of medal bestowed upon him or something or rather. Anyway, he visits one of the people in the montage that he fought with, an old female friend of his, and wants her in if he's going to pull this off. We have the black guy on the far right side there. I forget what his name is. I don't remember if they ever say it in the movie. Unfortunate. You would think that would be an easy guess, but whatever. I'll just make up a name, because I don't want to just keep calling him the black guy. I'll call him Luke. That sounds, I don't know. Apologies in advance. Again, I don't remember them saying the name in the movie, so I could be wrong. They could have said it, and I could have just completely missed it. Anyway, we cut to this other guy. He's not on the poster, named Mike. He's this pretty much YouTube video maker. But he has this other alternative name that they use, but I'll just call him Mike because that's what I wrote down. And one of the last people they get on the far left of the side is the safe cracker guy, who I'll just call the safe cracker. Anyway, we see a montage of the team prepping up. So, our second montage already. And after that, the team meets up with Tanaka, and they go over how to kill zombies, and so on and so forth. And one of the people leaves that's unimportant to the movie. But Scott sees that Kate, who is his daughter, is wanting to get in as they're making their way to Vegas. And as they're arguing over this, and as they drive in, they meet Kila, this blonde woman, who already said that Krita, I forget what it is, this woman in blue, that Kate's friend, went inside already to get the money, although how she knew about the money is a big question mark. So, one issue already, and this does lead to problems later on in the movie where Kate goes off on her own to try to save this person. Like, how did she even know that the money was there, etc., etc. Now, what I thought was going to happen, I thought Krita was going to go along with them at first. Initially, that would make more sense. But then again, this is Zack Snyder, so I'm not surprised that they didn't think this through. Anyway, so they want in. The daughter wants in. She eventually says she's gonna go in either way. The annoying cop asshole guy is brought in by Keela, the blonde woman, and thus now our full team moves in. And as they move in, we hear an immediate noise, and the first zombie we see is a tiger zombie. And a lot of people immediately made a connection to The Walking Dead and be like, oh, they should have did that for The Walking Dead. I don't know. They never did animal zombies in The Walking Dead, to my knowledge, so, I don't know. Anyway, so for the purposes of this, they do have a tiger zombie. And then later on, we also see a horse zombie, so it works a bit different. Let's just leave it at that. So the blonde woman takes the cop guy and pretty much attacks him and takes his weapon away. Or takes his weapon away, then attacks him in that order. And leaves him to the devices of these zombies. One that looks like a queen-like zombie. So these zombies, according to her later on, is that they seem to possess some sort of knowledge, or in terms of movement, in terms of other things as well. So the cop guy is eventually dragged away for a time much later on in the movie. So the rest of the team seems to move on, thinking like, okay, that's fine, I guess. And we also see that the king of the zombies is also watching on from a distance. And anyway, we also see that the queen, it's implied that she has baby. And I forget which zombie movie it was. If it was like Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead or something of the Dead, where they showed a the zombie woman giving birth, and then the guy's like, oh, hush hush, and then we see the zombie baby, and then the zombie baby wakes up. So yeah, I think that's what they were inspired by for that one. Except, well, this baby has a different story, but we'll get there. Anywho, so the team that is there move inside one of the buildings, and they see that there are a different set of zombies. These particular zombies don't seem to really move that much. Very akin to a video game movie moment of Silent Hill, the nurses at the end of that movie. Well, they move very slightly. These zombies seem to be very still. So I think another reference I can make is that one movie with the I Am Legend with Will Smith, with the zombies are indoors and they're sort of huffing in place. Even stiller than that, though. So, one of those two. It's like that, but still. But we see that one of Tanaka's men, I should have mentioned this earlier, that one of his men went with them. And this guy, he's further back in the group, and there's one woman behind him. So as Scott, Dave Bautista's character, is ahead, lowering down these glow sticks as to the path forward, he grabs one of the glow sticks from further behind and tosses it deeper into the zombies that are very much more crowded. So the woman furthest in the back, she has like I don't remember her name, but she had a red bandana, follows this glow stick because she assumed that that's the way she needed to go, ended up being led deeper into the zombie crowd, and eventually had to start stabbing some of them, to the point where one of them fell in such a way that it would eventually make some noise, and does so. So now the team has to start moving as she is left behind. And she eventually gets overwhelmed, and the YouTuber Mike guy sees this and has to shoot her as she's overwhelmed and bitten and stuff like that. So they enter the bank, and the team talks about their next move. And the helicopter lady is moved to the roof to see that the helicopter that they were even given was a piece of shit helicopter, but it could technically fly with some tinkering, I guess. So Taka's man and Krita, the blonde woman, are moving together, as well as Scott and his daughter, who are talking about how he had to kill his wife. Luke, the guy I decided to name Luke, and the YouTuber Mike are also together, and the safecracker, all three of them are together in the building. So we're splitting the party essentially, but they think they're safe. Cut back to our Taka's man and the blonde lady. They're dealing with the queen, and they have her. She comes back out, and Taka's man takes the head of the zombie queen, and meanwhile the king is elsewhere, nearly getting ready to attack three ladies, one of which was one of the woman in blue that went in there earlier. But with the captured queen's head, Taka's man talks about how the real plan wasn't ever actually about the money. It was actually about creating a BOW. And so they were willing to sacrifice every life just to get that head, I guess. Anyway, so as the inside group is learning that the ticking bomb, that is this nuke that the government has been arguing about when to shoot it into Vegas earlier on, we see that in the movie as well. We see that they are pushing it up by a day, so they just lost an entire day's worth of time. And they really think that they can get out within several minutes, by the way, which I think is ridiculous that they even think that they can do that within the amount of time they had left near the end of the movie. Anyway, the king finds the queen's body. Meanwhile, the vault cracker guy opens the vault. And we cut back to the king carrying the body to his crew when he pulls out the baby, and it's an undead baby, but it's dead, as in it doesn't open its eyes. So anyway, Scott's original partner wanted to have their relationship carried to the next level, as in the love. But he was still dealing with the pain. And as it would turn out, as they are arguing over that, Kate is suddenly gone. So she's going to go run off and go find, or attempt to find, the woman in blue. And while she's hiding, the zombie horde are making their way towards the bank. And they rush it. And the partner, this original partner, is the first to die, getting in this new set of people. She gets her head snapped pretty quickly there. And while that's going on, Luke and the hacker, I called him a hacker in this part, but the safe cracker, apologies. They go in for the money, so they're there while the others are running further up ahead. So the Tanaka guy, the one who wanted the BOW, locks them in and leaves. Meanwhile, Luke tries to fight the king, who has made his presence there. And the safecracker guy grabs Luke and shoves him into the vault. So he's just in there, in the vault, and the safecracker guy gets bit very clearly, and then the door closes all the way. So the Takana man, being outside, pulls out the bag and sees that the blonde woman earlier on her own accord pulled out the head and put in something else, like a typewriter or something. We see her do this by herself. So he's like, oh fuck. And then we finally see that tiger zombie, who was just being idle the whole movie, finally strike and tear this guy to shreds. So they actually did something with the tiger zombie. Golf clap. Good job. Anyway, meanwhile, Krita and Mike and Scott, being three people that are running together, are sort of in this main hallway. And as they're running through and trying to get through, Mike the YouTuber gets taken down. And as his life is being taken, he takes out some grenades to take out more zombies. But now it's just Scott and Krita, at least in this position right now. And the king is moving in on them. So while they're making their way to like the roof area, they join Krita, who holds the queen's head hostage while they're on the roof. So they're pretty much on the helicopter while the helicopter isn't even there, by the way. Which allowed him, or it is there, and then, I don't know, it, like, leaves at some point. Anyway, the blonde woman gets javelined, but she drops the queen head, and it goes splat on the ground. Oh, that's right, they moved with the helicopter. They went from, like, one location to the other, to, like, another location. And then Scott went out to go find them. Anyways, so while Kate is finding the woman in blue, Scott is the one moving into their location. That's how it went. And she was told to leave the helicopter there, but then she, like, flew off. That's the order it went in. Apologies for that. Anyway. So Scott attempts to shove some grenades to the king and runs off with Kate and the woman in blue. But they see that the helicopter is gone at this point, or it comes back late. So the king zombie jumps on, and the two of them fight, the zombie king and Scott. And what happens next, it looks like the pilot gets shot, but that doesn't happen. She just, like, gets bumped, I guess. There's, like, a spot of blood that happens. And as they are flying, they see the nuke pass them. So the nuke that they are sending is clearly still in range. Like, they would probably all still die at this point. But in the process of this little scuffle, Scott is bit, and the helicopter crashes. So Kate is the only one to get up after the fact, even though I don't think anyone would have survived the actual explosion, but whatever. So Scott, before his transformation into a zombie, he gives Kate this money that he was given as a sort of like a little goodwill, as one of Talka's men put it at the beginning earlier on in the film. And Kate, disgruntled as she is, kills her father. We cut to the vault opening after the explosion, and Luke stepping out of the vault. Now, other than radiation exposure, outside of that, he walks out scot-free, I guess, but not really, apparently. It follows him for a bit as he makes his way to a plane and buys himself some stuff because he took a lot of the money. And as he's struggling, he goes to this restroom, and he takes off, or he exposes some more of his skin, and he shows that he got bit, even though from what I was watching, I never saw him get bit, or I don't remember him getting bit. So I don't know where that came from. I don't even remember the king biting him when they fought. I remember the king throwing him around. I don't remember him getting bit. So I don't know where that comes from. But anyways, he's like, ah, shit. And that's where the movie ends, by the way. So, yeah, no. There's some dumb moments in this movie, for sure. Like I said, how this woman in blue knew of the money that was already in there somehow, and that's the only reason why Kate has to go off on her own, which leads to the group's farther, destruction at that point of the movie, where they were doing pretty fine beforehand. The only person they had lost at that point was the sacrificed cop guy. But after Kate left, everything fell to shit, and pretty much everyone else dies, except her. And it's presumed with Luke being suddenly bitten for whatever reason, that maybe he's looking to make a sequel. I don't know. Like I said, I think this movie's okay. They definitely have some contrivances about, who knows what, being that woman, and, the movement of the helicopter, giving that enough time so that the whole thing with Scott getting bit could happen. And I think I know why they did that. I read somewhere, I don't know if it was like a Yahoo article or a Twitter article or some article, where Dave Bautista was talking about how he always wanted to be a walker, a zombie in The Walking Dead, and that how he was told how he was too big, according to them, even though that doesn't make any sense, since there was already Beta, who was essentially a zombie, even though he was a guy that just wore zombie clothes. That guy is freakishly tall, so I'm not sure why why that would end up turning out the way it did. Anyway, so he got his chance to be a zombie very briefly, and it looked pretty bad, all things considered. I don't think they gave it enough time of him being a zombie to see the full expression, see the full face of zombie Batista, so I actually kind of feel bad at the same time, since that's something he apparently really wanted to happen. So I feel bad for him. Like, what the hell? Give Kate more time to be like, oh man, I have to shoot my zombie father. Fuck. Let her have a little bit, give her like a few more seconds of like struggling to do it so we can actually see the full transformation. And I know it's not much, but he didn't even look like he had the eyes, because the zombie eyes are very distinct. They have a yellowish kind of look to it, and you can't even see it that well. So I'm gonna give this movie like a 5 out of 10. It's okay, but it has it has quite a few contrivances, as I mentioned, that allow it to take place. So that's where I fall with this movie. 5 out of 10. And if you ended up enjoying this review, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. The first will send you over to my Discord server. The second will lead you over to my Patreon page. Any donations are desperately needed. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.